Hey brides, it's Kara here, your bridal coach, helping you gracefully navigate the stress and drama that comes with wedding planning so that you can get to your wedding day with stronger, healthier bonds with the people you hold most dear. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about fiancé drama. People sort of don't expect this to happen. Once that ring goes on, your relationship changes. I mean, you're both still who you were, but it actually is a shift in the relationship that sometimes we don't really anticipate. And that can play out, obviously, in a million different ways. It might be that you're all of a sudden realizing, whoa, you had such different visions for your wedding. Even with the sort of overlay of the pandemic, maybe one of you was like, hey, let's just elope and forget the whole wedding thing. And maybe to you or your fiance, this big wedding really means something and really was a life moment that they need to have happen, whether they need to wait a year or whatever. So that can be sort of causing a lot of friction when you had very different ideas of how your wedding should be, especially in the corona times. The other thing that sort of happens is your relationship goes under sort of a new spotlight. So maybe the habits or the priorities that your then boyfriend had, all of a sudden now that they're your fiance, your mind starts to mapping that to your whole future. And it's like, whoa, I don't know if this golf habit or this poker night or this or that really, if it's going to work long term. And so you start to sort of get anxiety or stress about like, how is this all going to play out when you start looking 20 years from now? So that can cause a lot of tension for brides, and you start to maybe nitpick, start little fights that before you were totally laid back and fine about, but now that you're sort of heading into wife mode, things are striking you a little different. The other thing that happens when you get engaged is that your relationship that you used to have complete control over, you can date someone for a long time and not even tell your family. You can wait for as long as you want to tell your mom and dad, and then certainly your uncle out in Ohio isn't going to know, usually until there's that engagement. And once you become engaged, your relationship kind of goes from the private space to a little more of a public domain. And people, now maybe they didn't have opinions about your boyfriends, but they're going to have an opinion about your fiance. So I think sometimes that scrutiny that, you and your fiance are experiencing separately or together can start to drive a little bit of tension between you. You're hearing things, they're hearing things, and it can start to affect your relationship in ways that it was totally not even an issue before you got engaged. The other thing for some people, again, not for many, for some people, getting engaged actually puts a whole new lens and a whole new way of looking at the relationship. And it's really causes a ton of anxiety because it's making you question, is this my person? So one of the things that I really help clients with is figuring out, okay, is this just some anxiety and some cold feet and just the shift and the change that I'm going through and it's normal? Or is this my intuition? Is this something telling me that maybe this is not my person and this isn't the path I need to go down? And so I feel like, it's a really very important thing to look at, and so many people don't, and it sort of breaks my heart, all of the divorces that could have actually been broken engagements. Again, this is not the majority of my clients, but it's also one of those things like you want to know whether your feelings of stress and anxiety and discontent are just part of the process, or if they're your way of intuition telling you, like, do not proceed. So anyway, just a little about fiancé frustrations. They are normal. It is part of this big adjustment and getting married and blending two lives, blending your households, starting fresh, getting this new identity as a couple, the scrutiny from the outside, the wedding. There's a lot that your relationship has never had to handle before. Those dating days were very different. So expect there to be some friction. Take a deep breath and then figure out what things can you guys handle, and then what do you need to get some outside help with. I'm always here. Download my free guide for a little extra insight, and wishing you tons of bridal bliss. Thanks.